Hello and welcome to another episode of A Mugful of Marketing, your regular dose of brews and views from across the world of marketing. We're back after a small hiatus of a couple of weeks.
Yep, skiing.
Not just skiing, also lots of very important projects from across the agency.
Yeah, we've just been doing All Day Hay, big tech conference in the north of England. So yeah, that's been our focus, hasn't it? But had lots of other fun project stuff going on the music and sustainability side, but we're back at it.
We're back at it with more regular brews and views.
Regular, yeah. Gotta keep those brews regular.
So what are we talking about today, James?
So why bigger isn't always better. Marketing lessons from the Co-op Live Arena launch. So what's it all about? What's been happening?
So the Co-op Live Arena is a new arena in Manchester, which launches, well, was supposed to launch a few weeks ago, but it officially launches now today. It's Europe's largest indoor arena. It's cost £365 million, and it holds 23,500 people. It's a flagship project in Manchester. And the launch, it's fair to say, hasn't gone quite as smoothly as they'd hoped.
No, it's not. And it's got quite a large sponsorship deal, right?
Yeah, so obviously, as the name suggests, the Co-op has been sponsoring it. I think it's £100 million over 15 years, so about £6 million a year. And after much fanfare, it was supposed to launch a couple of weeks ago with Northwest legend Peter Kay.
Yeah.
And then they were supposed to have something before
Black Keys, I think, were playing.
Black Keys, and Rick Astley, and they've all been pushed back. Yeah. So they've all been cancelled. I mean, that in itself is a fair disaster. You don't want that to happen. But it's been significantly compounded by some of the messaging that's come out. So today we're going to talk about what that messaging was, why it was so damaging, and what lessons people can learn when they're talking about launches so that this kind of thing doesn't happen to them.
Yeah, and from a marketing perspective, poor Co-op, our hearts go out to them. It's not gone to plan, what that means for their reputation.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the things that really have kind of, to go through the issues, the problems, I mean, they all come down really to Mr. Gary Roden, the general manager of Co-op Live, who has resigned over this.
Yeah.
And the things that he said in the run-up to it. So he made some cardinal mistakes, and I think number one was that he was negative about the competition, specifically what used to be called the MEN, now the AO Arena, which is another large arena just down the road.
Been there for a while, right?
Since 1995, yeah. And he said about it, basically he just trash talked about the arena. So he said, it's going to be difficult for an artist to say, yeah, I've booked the arena that's 30 years old versus an arena that's brand new. That's the reality of the situation. And then he said, he addressed one of the challenges, and sort of set some KPIs for the launch.
Yeah.
So he said, my challenge, though, is that AO Arena is up and running and it's operating. So we've got to open well, and we've got to make sure that all those things we've been celebrating, saying they're going to be great, are great. And the delivery, which I'm very confident they will be.
So they've publicly put their pitch up there, and everything for the whole project to be reviewed in terms of its success. It's bold. You respect him, he's put it all on the line. But it's not gone to plan, has it? And I think this is where we kind of break down the fact that there's lessons in marketing in general for this outside of this particular case study of what you should and shouldn't do.
Yeah, I think in PR and in any kind of marketing, the danger of over-promising and under-delivering is always there. And this is a textbook case of that he promised it to go well, and it hasn't.
No.
Essentially.
And then what are you left with to deem as success once you've done that?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you think of in terms of the damage, the reputational damage, you've had, thinking about those events, let's say roughly 40, 50,000 people have had to rebook. Peter Kay's fans had to rebook twice, so there's a possibility that people have booked hotels, they're coming in from out of town, they booked their travel, they're not going to get that money back.
No. So there's damage within the community of people that have already got tickets, and I believe that also helped build it. And they were part of the people that lost out on the tickets. And then there's just the general wider Manchester community as well, which historically you look back at Manchester, and I mean we're based in Leeds, so
it's hard to say this.
Yeah. Manchester's music scene is. It's just known and respected and celebrated for this sense of togetherness, and the community in Manchester is fantastic for music.
It really is.
You've got to say it. It has been for my lifetime, certainly. And then you've got this massive capitalist kind of like situation of all the wrong sides of it, where they come in, build this huge thing. I think there was...
And then trash the smaller venues as well.
Trash the smaller venues,
so Gary also...
it's built the foundations for them to even have the platform to come in and do this project in the first place.
Yeah.
And then I think there was a £1 ticket tax suggested, wasn't there? For the idea being, that they give back to the community and support the grassroots.
Yeah, and I believe that Gary, again, kind of firstly... He alienated the rest of the music industry in Manchester by saying that smaller venues were struggling because they were poorly run.
Yeah.
Now, whether that's true or not is not something that you say out loud. And two, as you say, when they suggested there be a £1 levy, which would then be redistributed to the smaller venues, he's just said, no, we're not doing that, essentially. So, yeah, he's managed to alienate the wider community. And then from a corporate perspective, the co-op shelled out £100 million on this, and currently they're associated with failure to deliver, lateness,
kind of rudeness.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not. I don't think they're getting value for money at the early part of this relationship from a brand perspective.
No. So how, I guess, playing devil's advocate here a little bit, you're tasked with turning this around. Where does it start? I mean, from my side, I would say that there needs to be some sincerity pumped back into the project.
I mean, I think they went into, to be fair, the Co-op Live did kind of handle the crisis side reasonably well. They immediately, they recognised that ticket holders had lost out. They were very apologetic. They admitted it. They explained the reasons behind it, which is all they could really do at that stage. But it was very much crisis management when it didn't have to be.
No, it should be celebrating, shouldn't it?
Yeah, they should have been celebrating. They should have had, the Manchester Evening News should have had a massive double-page spread of Peter Kay in this amazing sold-out arena.
Yeah.
That was what they wanted from a PR perspective. And instead, they've just got wall-to-wall coverage about Europe's largest indoor arena failing to open and having electrical faults. And
us talking about it.
Yeah, so I guess I think time is probably the best thing for them now. They need to have a track record of putting on successful events. But it also puts them in a fairly precarious position from a PR perspective. Now, there's no leeway left.
No.
They can't have any more teething problems.
They need to rebuild trust. And I think, that's the other part of, well, all your relationship building and marketing stems from trust. It does from everything from sales all the way through a business. So, yeah, they need to rebuild trust, and that takes time. But, yeah, maybe a big party or two going well will kind of wipe the slate.
Yeah, I think so. I think having some good events is a big part of it. I'd probably say they needed to do some community engagement with the rest of the music industry, which they have started. Co-op Live said, oh, well, Gary's comments that they don't represent our views on the local industry. But the damage is done on there. You need to then show it.
Yeah, there needs to be some olive branches, I think, passed out into the wider Manchester community and show that they're there for the long haul and they're there for the ultimate development of the city and the scene that enabled them to be there in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's it. Yeah, I think that probably sums it up, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's the one. So, yeah, and be careful what you promise that you're going to do on the project, because it could be the sword that you fall on.
Yeah, and don't be negative about the competition. really. Just to focus on your own positives.
Your own strengths.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thanks for joining us on this edition of A Mugful of Marketing.
See you next week.